In this video, I'm going to show you how to take a very simple, basic sheet like this for creating offers and products and turn it into a fully fledged system that has a product AI automation workflow, an offer AI automation workflow. It also has a promotional calendar so you can see visually where everything is at. And it's built using 3 simple but highly effective n8n automations in order to build out all of the things that you need for your offer, for your product. Things like understanding your target audience, things like extra inclusions, some pricing strategies, your website copy, emails. All of that is done in a single system like this that is completely scalable and can be used with any type of brand.
And of course, we are making these templates available for free. So you just need to follow the link in the first comment, sign up, and you'll get access into the free section of our community. So this resources tab here should be open for you. You can check out all of the resources, but you just simply need to find the Offer Planner AI system, and that'll give you access to the n8n automations that we have built. So you have free access into those and can start using them today. Now, this video is episode number 3 of a 9-part series where I'm diving into how to build AI automation systems. It's something we talk about all the time here. And it's really important to start from number 1. So if you've missed number 1, I would highly encourage you to go back to the first episode. And then the rest of the videos are build videos where you're literally looking over my shoulder as I turn very simple automations or very simple ideas into fully fledged AI systems that are scalable, that allow your team or your client's team to use them efficiently and easily, and so that they adopt the system. So I'd highly encourage you to watch the entire series and make sure you stay tuned for the future videos to come.
So if you don't know me yet, my name is Mitch Asa, and I run AI automation agency Make Big Moves, where we work with clients doing $50,000 a month and up. And we also have bigmoves.ai, where we review a whole bunch of AI tools and templates, and we build out systems that take these very basic things that you might get from clients or other beginner automators out there and turn them into fully fledged systems. And this is the main point that we have when it comes to building automations, is we believe that you should build systems, not just automations. Automations are the easy part. It's the systems design that is the most important part when it comes to building AI tools and AI solutions for your own business or for your clients. So I'm going to take you through how we look at this from the very start based on maybe a little bit of information. And you're literally going to build with me as we go through this entire video. So it is a long video. Now, if you do want to follow along, you can build this yourself, but we also have this available as a template inside of a bundle as well. So make sure there'll be a link below here somewhere, and you can go and check out the information about that bundle. And you can simply just load them into your own accounts, upload them, make a few adjustments, and you're good to go within a few minutes. But if you want to follow along and build along with me, then let's dive into that now. So a better overview of what we're doing here. So this is our current business growth and offer interface here, where we have our products, we have our offers, and our promotional calendar. So essentially we come in and we haven't got any of it automated just yet, but over time, and today it's exactly what we're going to do, is going to automate these different phases. Now, before I dive too far into that, this is essentially where we're going to move this very basic creation to, which is we're going to have a brand asset table, a product table, an offer table, and this one should actually say AI models table. So we can easily integrate any AI model. And there will essentially be 2 automations that we build inside of n8n, which will help with the products, and then the second one to help with the offer. So it's quite important to distinguish the difference between a product and an offer. Product is something that you create one time and you could promote many times over from creating that a first time. You could even change the offer that is included for that product. And an offer is the front facing part of that product. So essentially what we used to do in the pet care brand that we had, which we made millions of dollars doing, which was we would build a product once and then we would promote it maybe once a year or twice a year. And each time we would promote it in the future, we would add in new bonuses. So there's always a new reason for people to sign up. So that's the difference between the products and the offer. So the other reason why we're building out a system like this is because we can now also build in a calendar quite easily into the system where it looks like this, and we can see where our offers are and begin to plan out the entire year. So we have our products, we have our offer, and we have our promo calendar. So that's exactly where we are now. We're going to build on those other things. What generally happens when people are beginning, or if you have a client come to you, they have really basic automation, something like this, where everything's kind of just in here like this, like a spreadsheet, and it's really hard to understand what's going on. It's not really structured nicely. So even though they want you to come in and automate these types of workflows, we want to be thinking about how can we do a really professional job, like building out a system like this. And this is everything that we talk about at Big Moves, which is if you're using AI, you want to build structured systems and workflows and things that are scalable. Make them actually useful for your clients, make them useful for your own business, make them easy for people on your team or on your clients' teams to actually use. Otherwise, they're not going to get used. That also includes adding tables for AI models so you can easily plug them in. I'm going to explain all that. We're going to build all of this out. So ultimately, the first thing we need to do is make sure our database structure is actually set up correctly. So that's number one. Let's dive in and start working on that now. So if we come back into our business growth and offer system database, so we have our brand, we have our product, we have our offer. So we need to add in our AI models, and we're just going to add that one in there like this. And I should be able to cheat a little bit and build these AI models in quite quickly. So if I just come into an existing one that we have already, and if I just copy all of these across here and come back into our original, I should be able to paste all of these in and it should drop in all of these. Cool. So let's just change this to model code, and it shouldn't be long text. It should just be single text. And we'll click save. And then we might just want to create the name. Well, the name is essentially just these. So like we can just grab these. All right. So basically, I'm going to explain this later, but we're using Open Router so that we can use any type of AI model, and you can see that here. But I'll show you a few tricks once we get to this point as well. So we've now got our 4 tables that we need, but we need to check that I have all of the fields that we need. So number one is our brand. So we want our excluded words and our brand voice. But then what I like to do is add in a bit of a roll-up field or like a formula field. So there's this one here, which we call brand context for automation. So let me just copy that across, and it's going to be a formula. And I'm just going to copy this existing formula that we have already and change the variables. So basically what we're doing here is we're rolling up all of the different fields into one field, so we can easily pass it into the automation. Now, you could just add them all in there individually, and that's totally fine as well, but I just find that it's a bit easier to have just the one field. It just allows you to build a little bit faster, and you're not getting confused, because if you have too many variables when you're actually creating these automations, it can get a little bit hard to figure out what goes where, and you sometimes miss things. So I find that adding these shortcuts, and you'll begin to find your own shortcuts as you keep building as well, it just makes life so much easier. So we're just going to copy our brand voice from over in this other table that we've built previously, and our excluded words. So if I open up this formula now, we can see that the formula has added in the brand voice guidelines that I just added and the excluded words. So now we only need to pass this through to the other tables, which is exactly what we do next. So we want to come into our product, and currently we just have a very limited view of what is included in the product. It is linked to our brand. So all we need to do is go add lookup field and then add in that brand context for automation. And then now anytime we run an automation from this tab, then it's going to pick up our brand voice guidelines and never use these words and phrases. Now, the other thing that I would probably add into this as well is our customer avatar. So like, who do we serve? So I'm going to add this one in here as well. So let's just go customer avatar, and we're going to go create field, and we're actually going to add this into here as well. So if we just copy maybe from here, not from there, let's go one more. So let's go from here, and then we're going to go customer avatar here. All right, so that's been added in there. Let's just give it a quick look. We need a couple of new lines in that formula, so let's just add those in there. So if we could do new lines here. I think we can go with 2. All right, so now once I add some details in here for our customer avatar, then it will drop into there as well. Okay, so I just added a little bit about our customer avatar here, which is entrepreneurs and small business owners who are looking to scale effectively with AI tools and AI automations. We help them build smart, scalable systems based on proven workflows. So now that's going to appear in here as well, and then we can use all of this information inside of our automations. So before I do dive into the automations, we want to make sure we're getting all of these structured nicely and all of the fields that we require in order to build these out. So in order to build them out, I've got a few ideas down here about what we actually need. So in the product section, we should have a section that builds out the target audience a little bit better, because keep in mind that for products, then typically each product is going to slightly appeal to your different segments of your audience. So you have like your big umbrella audience, and then you'll have smaller segments as well. So we're going to make sure we cover that inside of here. We're also going to do some add in the product ideas, product inclusions, get it to generate the product name, pricing strategy, and the product content plan. So as in the content we need to create in order for the product to actually be available to purchase and buy, and for something to actually be used. So let's see if we can build these ones out. So let's just start with the target audience first. Okay, so we've gone and filled those out now. So we've got target audience, product ideas, product inclusion ideas, product name ideas, it should be. So we already got the product name at the start, and pricing strategy and product content plan. So these are all the things that we're going to run through the automation based off a few input fields. So if we come back to this very basic one here, they're basically saying your niche market, which we already know because we built it out in the brand, product and service description, and what do you want to teach? So product service description and what do you want to teach? Okay, interesting. And then program format. So we could actually do a format as well. Okay, so we've got product format in there as well. And then, so product and service description and what do you want to teach? So we kind of need those input fields as well. So what I would do is I would move them back here. So this is essentially all of the things that get created from AI, and we're going to trigger the AI via a button. So let's just add the button in, and we'll go execute product research. Cool, so we're just going to add in a placeholder formula while we wait. So it's got essentially a webhook formula here. It's got a base ID, which comes from the URL, and it's got a table ID, which also comes from the URL. So I'll show you why those things matter as we start building it out. But what I like to do is just bring these across, and then on the left are the things that come before this. So here it was the product description, I believe. And what do you want to teach? Cool, so those things need to be filled in before we execute on this, and then the execution will come, or the outputs will come into here after we've executed. Now, the other thing that I like to add in here when we're using AI is a status update. So I'm just going to call this AI status, and then we always just do pre-AI, AI writing, and AI complete. So it always should default to pre-AI, and then I like to just change the color here to make it easy to see. So now, if we just give this a pre-AI for all of these, we can see we have a bunch of the things that we require. Now, the only other thing that we require in order for this to work is our AI model. So we should then insert to the right. We're going to link in our AI model field, and we're just going to call this AI model. And we only want to allow linking to a single record, not to multiple. And we're going to go create, and then we're just going to link in Claude. Since we're testing, I'm just going to use GPT 4.0. It's a little bit cheaper while we're testing, and then we would change it to Claude once we're ready to go and in the proper environment. Now, based on experience, I know that I need to have a lookup field here, which is the AI model code. So I'll show you why that gets added once we start building out the automation. But now we have something decent that we can actually use, right? So the only place now that we would come back in to trigger this offer is we want to go into the product, and if we open up a record now, so we want to have the ability to open this up. So this is all the stuff that is finalized, I would say. So I'm just going to change this. I'm going to go, here is finalized offer, and then we're going to add a new section down below, a new group, and we're going to call this offer creation. Or product inclusion creation, product creation. All right. So in the product creation, then we'll have all of those things that we just created. So number one is we're going to have a product description that they need to, well, these things actually need to get completed via a form, but we can add them here anyway. We're going to go product description and what to teach, and they can be editable. Then we need to add in our AI model. So we'll add in the status, and we'll add in the AI model. Let's put them side by side, make that a little bit easier, and they can link and unlink records, so we can change the AI model from here. And then we need our button to execute on the AI models section. So that can go in there like that. Let's just, and then all of the outputs will come down underneath that. So we're going to go target audience. Product format actually needs to go up here as well. All right. So when we're essentially building this out, and maybe we'll make this full page now to make it a bit easier to see. So we'll open this up full page, publish. So now when we're building this out, the finalized stuff can get added up here, very easy to see. But as we're building it out, we can add in these things here. Let's just make this one a live workshop or like a coaching program, online course, whatever. Let's just make this one an online course. So we fill in these two fields here, create our product, and then all the outputs will come into this section here. So it should be, this is like a fairly straightforward automation to build. It's just getting the information from Airtable, running it through AI, and then sending it back into Airtable again at the end. So that's what we are going to build in the automation. But before we get to that point, I want to finish off the Airtable section. So let's keep going here. Okay, so the next component is then the offer. So we want to have the promise and transformation, offer outline, pre-launch emails, website copy, and content marketing plan. So we come in and we need to add basically all of those same fields here. So we could probably do a little bit of a copy here. Let's see if we can pull this off. No, it's probably not going to be easy. So let me just build this out and then I'll explain it once I've done it. Okay, so we now have all of those added in here. We've got our AI model and status and so forth. And then we've got all the things that happen on the previous side. However, we need to also add in the new fields from the product as well. So what I would actually do is probably a similar thing as what we did last time, which is we're going to roll up all of these fields into a single one here. So we would just create, let's go product details for automation. And let's call this one a formula. Product details for automation. And let's just save in something here. So in order to create this formula, then I'm actually just going to grab all the field names. Let me see if I can pull them in from here. All right, if we did all of that, and then I'm just going to go into ChatGPT and Airtable. Let's go create me an Airtable formula that adds all of these fields into a single field and adds a label before the field. Let's see if ChatGPT can get this in one shot, or we could actually use the ChatGPT. What's happened here? One sec. All right. We don't want emojis. Remove emojis. Okay, so that should be pretty simple. If we now just copy that in there like that, let's hit save. And here, if we open this up, now once we have all of the information in there, it should be able to pull all that in. So here, we just need to come back to our offer and we go add lookup fields, and then we'll add in this into the automation. Then we have all of these details in here ready to go for this automation as well. So I think this is a pretty good place to start. So generally I get like the base 80% of the way. You're never going to know all of the fields that you need inside of Airtable before you start building. As you're building the n8n automation, that's when more fields come up, especially also when you're building interfaces. So I know once we start building interfaces, we're going to have like some overall statuses of like where each section is. So we'll add those statuses in later as well. But ultimately now we need to build those two automations, get those working, add in the prompts, make sure the prompts are good, and then we can move on to completing the interface components so that it's all in there. Then we have a fully automated offer creation system, which is going to be pretty cool. Let's continue. Okay, so let's start with the product workflow. So we come into, and we're going to go create new workflow. We'll just give it a name. And then basically the way that we pretty much start almost always is with a webhook. So we're going to grab this webhook here. We're going to come back into our Airtable base. We're going to open up the formula, and then we're going to replace this webhook right here. Now, we want to make sure that this question mark stays there. Sometimes people miss that, and then the formula won't work. So we always want to make sure that remains there. And we're actually going to capture this using the webhook respond to node. So now we just go webhook again. We're going to go respond, and we're going to respond with some text. I already have some text, like a shortcut save for some code that we add in, which is just script window.close script. So essentially what will happen is that we will capture the webhook when we test this. So if I go execute workflow, come back into here, hit create product, and then immediately closes that window for me, which means it's captured this webhook and the automation will run. Next, we need just to grab in all of that information from Airtable itself. So we're going to connect this in via the parameters that we added in with that webhook. So remember back here when we're creating this formula, we had in our base ID and our table ID and our record ID in the button formula, in the webhook formula itself, so that when we are building these automations, in order to map in your base, you don't have to search for anything. You just simply drag these across and it pulls all of that information in. So if I hit execute step now, then all of this information from Airtable is now available to us inside the automation. So I'm just going to pin all of that data so that we can use it. Now, the next thing that we do is with the status. So remember we created a status earlier. We're just going to update the record to update that status. So again, we just add in the same variables, base ID, table ID. It will then read the base ID and table ID, and then we can add the record ID in this section here. And we're essentially just going to remove everything except for the status. And we're going to change this to AI writing. So this will tell us on the dashboard inside of Airtable that there's actually something happening. So if I come back into Airtable now, we can see this status has changed. So if I'm seeing this from the interface, I know that something is happening. I know that the AI is starting to do its work. So we're going to pin that one there as well. And then now we get into the OpenAI components. So we're going to use the OpenAI node. However, we're going to use OpenRouter for our model selection. So this allows us to use not just OpenAI, but it also allows us to use any of the other models that are out there. We use Claude quite a lot. So that's what we're going to do. In order to set this up in your credentials, you can you use the same OpenAI credentials, but you add in an API key and then you change your base URL to openrouter.ai/API/v1, and then you can use OpenRouter in this section here as well. So the first thing that we need to map in is our AI model. So remember I said there's this code here, which I'll tell you about later. So the reason why is if I look at this field versus this field, you'll see the difference inside the n8n automation. So this is our AI model field. It actually shows the record ID of the other table. So we can't use that for our AI model. But if we have a plain text version, then we can simply drag this across and you can see now it's added in OpenAI's GPT-4o. So this one here is, we now need to build this out for all of them. So let's get the first one right in terms of the context we require. And then let's then duplicate all of the different OpenAI nodes that we'll need. So here I'll typically just go context. Actually, we're going to have brand context. And we're going to drag in the brand context for automation that we had. So usually it's a bit easier if you open this up like this. And then the other one we were going to add in was the product one gets added in the next stage. So we just need the product description and what to teach. So let's add that in. Other context. And we're going to call this product description. What I want to teach. All right, so let's add these things in here. We actually need we need to create something here first. So my bad, let's come back. Let's just hit save. I'm going to have to unpin all of this. Oops. And basically we come back in here. We need to add some details here. So let's just go with this n8n starter kit. So this is what you've actually purchased right now from us. So the product description is going to be, give me a second to fill this out. Okay, so I've added those in. We've got our product description here, which is essentially the things in the bundle. And then I want to teach people how to turn beginner automations into advanced high-level systems that are easy to use and scalable, products that companies would pay thousands of dollars for. So we're going to pull all of this information into this workflow here again. So let's trigger this second line this time. All right, so it's just going to run, even though we don't want it to just yet. So we need to then map in our product description here. Let's give it a line, and then what I'm going to teach here. All right, and then I would add in the prompt underneath here. So then I would go instruction, and then we will continue the rest of the prompt here. So what are all of the things that we need to create? So let's open this up again. So target audience, product ideas, product inclusion. So let's build this out. So it's going to go target audience.
product idea. Now you can see here that it's actually gone red. And the reason why is because we need to add in some extra information, because it was looking at the previous node. Now it needs to like refer back even further to the initial node. So in order to do that, then let's just map in this first one, and then we can grab this code. And then what I want to teach. All right. So now that should be much easier. So we've got our product idea. Let's give it a quick save. It's always good to save as you're going. The next one was product inclusions. Okay, so we've got all of those things here. Let's just pin this data in case we need it. So we've got our target audience, product idea, inclusions, name ideas, pricing strategy, and content plan. Now, the person who sent this to us, they do have some prompts that they were using initially. However, 9 times out of 10, I know that we need to improve the prompts. So especially, and we need to fit them in with how we actually should be building automations to include all of this extra context here as well. So let's just start with the target audience prompt, and I'm going to first run it through like a prompt engineer GPT, and then I'm going to improve on it from there. So I'm just going to say improve my prompt. So I'm also going to say things to change. All right, so I gave it a few extra instructions here saying we add the context before this. So mention context above rather than adding variables, add any headlines like this for instruction, and remove any mentions of brand voice guidelines as we already have this in the system. And I just pasted in that prompt there. And then now we're going to get just an improved version of this. So so it didn't actually follow what I asked here. So just go change the headlines to what I'm asked for, which is, all right, let's give it another shot at getting this right. All right, here we go. This is much better. So your world-class digital marketer, task, instructions. All right, I think that looks pretty decent here. So we're going to come back in. We're going to open this up and we can make any edits from here. So let's go here. All right, we don't need a second context field. So you're a world-class digital marketing specialist focused on a specific niche market, providing tailored product or service solutions. Your goal is to deeply understand your audience to create highly effective and personalized marketing strategies. Use the context provided above to inform your responses. Do not rely on placeholder variables. That's irrelevant. Task is to key challenges and pain points, desires and aspirations, relevant industry-specific trends. Instruction, incorporate both practical and creative, identify common pitfalls. Cool. Use the following structure in your response. I like that. Let's give that an execute and see what it comes up with as that's going. Let's be in on the product idea. All right, so we can see that it's completed over here. And let's just actually pin this one as well, so we don't have to regenerate it. And let's now improve this next prompt. So, okay, good. Now do this one. So this next one is going to be for our product idea. So it's going to create a few ideas of what should be included and so forth. But let's have a look. Cool. Looks like it's got that a bit better. Let's paste this in here. All right. So let's just remove this. You are a master online business strategist with deep expertise in creating successful online offers, such as courses and memberships. You understand how to align offers with market needs. Cool. So what we should actually do is add in the target audience context here. So let's just do this. And we're going to add in the content so the output from the previous one with all the audience, pain points, desires, and so forth. So it's going to use all of that. So use the context provided. Let's just remove this out of the way so it's not confusing. Provided above to guide your response. Task, generate 5 potential offer ideas. All right, so it's actually added in the product name into this one. Let's run it and see what happens. And we could always ask it to find the best name out of all of these. So maybe we could change this to recommended product based on, all of this. So, I mean, if we're generating ideas here, then the product content plan actually needs to be its own separate automation. So we're just going to remove that, and the pricing strategy.
is going to have to be its own automation as well. So let's say it's going to have to be like essentially 2 here. We do a check first of, we create the ideas first, we approve it, and then we create the pricing strategy and the content plan after that. So that one's done. Let's now do the product inclusions. And we can just say, so we come back to our prompting and say, here's an example output of this prompt above. I want you to now use the output in the next prompt as a variable, e.g., what do we call this one? Product inclusions, no, e.g. product idea. Then recommend the inclusions for each of, okay. So we're just taking this prompting engineer to the next level now. So we're giving it the actual output from what we asked in the previous version. And then it's going to create a prompt that references that. So let's just grab this one here. So if we go copy code and bring that across into our inclusions, let's paste that in here. All right. So we're saying here, you're a digital strategist and curriculum designer. Use the following context to inform your work. So up here, we would probably want to change this now. So we've got like more information. So we're going to change this to other context, which is product ideas. And then we're going to say, use the product ideas context above to inform your work. Each product idea is generated based on market research. Each product includes a name, transformation sentence. It includes 3 to 5 digital offers. For each product idea, create a list of clear and compelling inclusions that would form the content or features of the product, which would form the features or inclusions of the product, not the offer. Cool. So then it gives a bit of an idea of what should be in the inclusions, and then the output structure. Offer name. I mean, I think it will get that right. Transformation sentence. Cool. And then repeat. Cool. So I think that's going to be a pretty solid prompt there. So let's just go like that. And then we actually want the same context. Well, we already have the name ideas, right? So I don't think we actually need this at all. We could create it in the next one as well, as to come up with some name ideas based on the final offer. All right. So let's just pin that there. And now we want to update a record again. So we're going to duplicate this one, unpin that record, pull all of this information in. So here we now just need to map in all of the variables from what we've just created. So we need our product inclusions, and then we're just going to map this in here. We can change our status to AI complete. We need next our product idea, and we'll map that in. Target audience. So we can see here it's in like a bit of a markdown format. So let me just quickly check and bring these in. So basically I'm just going to go enable rich text formatting. So hopefully it'll drop it in there a little bit nicer with some bolding and bullets and so forth. So we can allow these. All right. And then if we go execute step and come back in, and we can see now that it's added in these 2 things here. It's added in 2. Did we miss one? What happened here? Let's just do a quick check. Target audience, product ideas, and product inclusions actually added in the wrong product inclusions. So I actually want to undo what was just done and undo. It's not going to undo. No. Okay. Anyway, I can fill that in later. I know what's actually included. But ultimately what I was getting at is I mapped in the wrong product inclusions here. So we want to remove that one. And we want the inclusion ideas. And we're going to come back in and map this here. And let's try again. All right. So if I just unpin all of that, hit save, come back, check, we now have these 3 things here. So if I come back up into our interfaces now and we look at it through this view, then we can see that that's incorrect. Let's just fix up a couple of things here. All right. So we can see now we've got our target audience, we've got our product ideas, and we've got our product inclusions in here. And what I'll do is we'll actually go duplicate, and then we're going to go product creation step 1. And here we can remove this and remove this and remove these ones. And this is going to be product creation step 2. And we're going to add in a new button as well. So let's just come in, let's do that now. So here, we'll add in a new button. We'll change that webhook in a minute, but we'll just go execute product flow 2. And let's just give this one a different color in order to make it stand out. And we're going to add that one here as well. Now we can also use the AI model and AI status that we had before, so we don't need to re-add those. So if I just come back into our interfaces now and down to this section, just add in flow 2. So we can remove this one. So we can use the same AI model and AI status. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. But overall, as you're following along here, I hope you can see how the idea that you have when you start building this out can actually change as you're going. And you need to be adaptable for these types of things that come up in order to build the best system possible. So let's continue on and keep going with this. So up here, we can actually delete these few fields. Delete this one and this one. And now build out automation 2. So before we do that though, one thing is because that first automation is working fine now, then we can actually just put it into active. So in order to push it into active, we just remove the -test from the webhook, and then we can come up into here and just click activate. And then it's now going to work when we run it. Now, what I'm going to do is actually just duplicate this because we're basically using the same type of flow. And first and foremost, we just want to change the webhook. So let's just go for 5R. And we're going to copy in this webhook now. Add that to our new button. Hit save. Confirm change. Workflow 2. Let's go execute workflow. Give it a little test. And then, all right, we're good to go. So the rest of this should run basically straight away because we already have it set up. So if I just do this one more time here like this, we can now see that all the Airtable stuff is already done. So this is another great way of like understanding and building in these types of systems. And the way that we build is because you can duplicate things and they will just run immediately because we've added in the code into the webhook. We're mapping in the IDs rather than having to search through the list of different available templates inside of Airtable. So when you learn these types of little things, that they just make a huge difference. So what could take an hour to build, it could actually take like 20 minutes to build because of all of these little things that you learn along the way. So always keep note of these little things that are popping up as we're going. Cool. So essentially what needs to happen is before they get to this point, we need to actually format all of the information that we've generated already. So we need to make that editable. We're going to go up here and we're going to make these things editable, because basically step number 2 is going to pull in these things, these variables, in order to then create the product name, ideas, the pricing strategy, and the content plan. So we need to actually agree on what's actually going to get created. So target audience pain points, audience desires, relevant trends and industry insights, unseen pitfalls or challenges. So I need to go through and check all of these things. Product ideas, AI automation starter pack, time-saving automation suite, AI master plan for business growth. I mean, they're all pretty bad. So let's just go with that one for the moment. Okay, so I've done a little bit of editing, and now all of these variables were used in creating these. So product name ideas, pricing strategy, and product content plan. So obviously I'll do this a whole lot more in depth and really go over this if I was doing it myself, but for the purpose of this video, let's continue. So we now need to build out these. So we have, what was it? We need to generate product name ideas, pricing strategy, and content plan. So let's just remove this out of the way for a minute. So we're going to go name ideas, pricing strategy, and then content plan. All right, so let's just come back to our prompt engineer. Following the prompts we've done previously, Cool. So we've generated a prompt here in the prompt engineer. Let's come back into our automation and do the editing from here. So we just remove all of the old stuff. All right. So you're a world-class brand strategist, memorable product names, context, user context provided above. Yep. Task based on the context above and the product ideas. So we need to actually change this. So we've got our brand context that can remain, but we need to now add in our product ideas. Where were we? So we'll call this product idea, single, product inclusions, and our target audience for this product. All right, so let's give that a shot, see what we come up with. Next one is then the pricing strategy. All right, so since we've already made the changes in the previous one for this, then we're just going to go duplicate, call this one pricing strategy. Cool, so it's now gone into the pricing strategy. Let's just do like this. All right, and then let's do the final one, with the final one being the product content plan. So let's go back to our prompt engineer. All right, and then so we've got our content plan prompt from our prompt engineer, and then we're just going to paste this in here and do a quick check. So digital course architect, content strategist. All right, use context above to guide your response. All right, let's just remove that. Task based on the context. Create a comprehensive content plan, instructions. Yep, that looks pretty good to me. Product overview, and then it's given an output example. Perfect. Let's execute on that one. And then last thing to do here is to connect to Airtable. Let's then add in our new variables. So we need in here, pricing strategy. We need our content plan, and we need our name ideas. So let's add all of these. So content plan, let's map this one in here. Let's map in our pricing strategy here, and then let's map in our name ideas here. We've got AI complete. So if we just go execute step, come back, and now we should have all of those getting mapped into this section here as well. Should have turned on this. So if we look at our interface, we can see that these are being mapped in. So let's make this editable as well. So we'll just go editable. Cool. So essentially what we've just built is we have our finalized offer section at the top here. We've got our product creation step one. You input these two fields here, select your product format, and then create the product research. It does all the research. You then add in the product ideas, the finalized version, what's included, add all of that in here, and then we'll run workflow number 2. It then pulls in all of that information. It comes up with some name ideas, the pricing strategy, any like value enhancement recommendations. I like that. Product content plan as well. So module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, supporting assets. Great. So overall, we've already built now the first part of this system. So products and all the 2 workflows here have actually been completed. Now we just need to build out the offer. Okay, so we've done the Airtable database. We've done the first workflow and the second workflow for the product section. The final part now is to just build out the offer section. Now let's dive into the table here. And what I realized before I finished up in the last one is that we should have probably put the transformation or the promise in the previous so that we could check the promise before then doing the content. So essentially what's in the offer is the content that we're going to create for this offer. So the website copy, some pre-launch emails, and then like the marketing content plan, right? So all of these things can only get done once everything in the product has actually been approved and is ready to go. So now that we have those things, then we can build essentially the same type of automation here in this workflow here as well. So before I do that, let's just finish off that last one. We're going to activate it. We're going to say, got it. And we'll just come back into the product and we'll remove the webhook test, and then that workflow is now good to go as well. And we can simply just duplicate it for the next one. So we'll come up here, we'll go to duplicate, and then we're going to say offer system, create offer flow, and then we'll go duplicate. So now we're essentially starting with the same type of flow again. So we're going to change the webhook URL here. So we'll go path can be to BC4. and we'll copy this webhook, and we'll just stop this here. And we can even just hit execute workflow while we're here, come back in, and then we'll change the webhook ID here and make sure that our table ID matches the same one up here, which it does. We changed that before, so that's good. And if we click save, and we want to be working on the n8n bundle, and if I open that up, it looks like it's already executed successfully. So we're all good in that sense. Cool. So now let's just remove these ones out of the way and begin with the AI components. So the first one we're going to create is the website content. All right. So I have a pretty interesting way to figure this out. So first, let's just map in some of the right context variables that we will require. And if I go to the getter record, we should only have to do this once. So let's do the brand context again. We actually don't even have the brand context in here just yet. So we need to figure this out a little bit better. So we'll have to pull in the brand context from products. Let's open this one up, brand context. And we want our product details. We already have that one. So we need to bring in the brand context. We've got our product details here. I think that's all we need. Let's try again. So we will go back to here. We'll go save, execute workflow, trigger this again a second time. All right, now it should work this time. So let's go brand context again. Here it is. And then we'll go here, product context. Hold on, what I meant to do was do it from this one. All right, so we've got our brand context and our product context. So next, so we'll say, now need a prompt to create website copy. I will add my own template for, so here we're actually going to feed in a template of our own in order to create this. And one of the great marketing companies for online courses and workshops and so forth is Mindvalley. I know people who work there, and I know how much they split test what they do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of their information here. So I'm just going to copy the entire page, and we'll probably remove the testimonials component, but I have a GPT called Creative Template Wizard, and I want to create a fully templatized output. So basically it's going to take this page from Mindvalley, and then it's going to create templates like this one here. So I don't know why that just started creating one here. So I'm going to write, here's a sales page template. Ignore the testimonials section. Just add testimonial 1 and 2, 3, 4, etc. So essentially we're just copying this entire page, and then we're pasting it into the GPT, and then the GPT should now begin to templatize this entire thing. So here it's beginning to build all of this out. So I know now, so yeah, this is a little bit better. So basically it's saying, I'm going to change this to a pre-headline, product or tagline. So it's basically just giving us the entire template that we require in order to build this out. So here I'll change the top bit, but the rest of it's pretty good. So let's just grab all of this, and we're going to come into our automation. We're going to say website copy template. We're going to say complete this template, and we'll go pre-headline. Yeah, cool. So essentially we have this template. Now we just need a bit of a prompt to guide it. So, it might even get it right with that info that I've just added there, but let's add in this prompt. All right. So we've got our role. You're a senior direct response copywriter. Context, use the context above. Let's remove that. Based on the context, write a high converting website copy. Use the copywriting template below, fill in each section. All right, copywriting template we already got. All right, perfect. So if we look at this prompt over here on the right, we've got our brand context, right? Which is we're telling it how to write. We're saying never use these words. We're saying write at a 6th grade level. We've got our avatar. We've got all of our product information in here. And then we've added in this prompt, and then we have our full template down here as well. So that should create some pretty decent website copy. This is how you get 10 times better results using these types of systems and giving it really solid templates to follow to get the best output possible. So we're going to copy this basically for all of the prompts that we do here, or at least the email component as well. And then we're actually following some really sophisticated marketing principles in order to create the best output that we possibly can think of. So let's continue. All right, so now we need some pre-launch emails. So I'll go next is pre-launch emails, follow a structure. All right, so pre-launch emails, let's copy this one in here. Now you could take it to another level and do templates for each of these, but I think this has got it right. So essentially we're doing a build an awareness and curiosity in email 1. Email 2 is establish authority, and email 3 is a countdown. So it's exactly what I would do as well, based on many years of marketing experience. So we're just going to do a few edits like we normally do based on the context. All right, perfect. Let's execute that one. And then the content marketing plan. So the final one is then, all right, so we've got our content marketing plan prompts. So we've created our content marketing plan prompt that's running now. And then we just need to map this back into the right columns. So we can remove all of these things because they're not actually from this table. This is from our copied version, but we should be able to, if we refresh this list, we'll be able to find all the variables that we need now. So here we can remove these ones that we don't need. We can keep the AI status as AI complete, but we want our website copy. So we'll paste this one into here, pre-launch emails, and then our marketing content plan. Beautiful. And then before I hit execute, just make sure that we've got the enable rich text formatting. All right, that's all been done. So now let's go execute this node. And that one is now successfully being completed as well. So we can turn this one on. And if we come back in, we can now see that these things have been added here. So let's have a quick look and we'll go expand offer. We've got our pre-headline. Beautiful. We've got our email 1, email 2, email 3. Cool. And we've got our product marketing plan. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Perfect. So now we just need to build this into the interface and we are pretty much good to go. So we come into our offer section now and let's open this one up. So let's make this one here a group. So we'll just highlight this group. All right. And put this up here like this. So this is our group 1. And then let's go in this one, our copy. So we'll go like offer content. Cool. So we've added all those fields in here. I'm just going to do a couple of little things to clean this up, make this full page, and then we'll hit publish. And then now we can see, so we're in the offer section, and if we want to check, we come into here, we can see our main offer details up here, but then we have our website copy, we have emails in this section here, and then we have our content plan. Now, of course, you can go in and edit any of these prompts here. You can go in, make some edits, add some example outputs, and give it further instructions for what you actually require. But overall, you can see that now we have this proper system built out, and this is the whole point. We have a system that we can use to not only plan and create the content with AI automation, but now we have a system where we can see our full content calendar or our full product calendar, so we can align our content calendar and then have full visibility over the entire next year if you are planning out that far in advance. So overall, I think this is a pretty great system. Again, we've turned it from this little basic thing here, this beginner type thing, into a proper system with a promotional calendar, with AI generated offer details, with AI generated product details, and so much more. Like, this is a really great product that I would be happy to hand off to a client, and it's probably worth many thousands of dollars. So even if you just built this product even better, this offer product even better, and when sold that to clients, you probably make many thousands of dollars just from this alone, with a few extra little improvements based on each of the individual businesses that you work with. So I hope this was valuable. If you do have any questions, you can make sure you leave them down below, or be inside of our Big Moves community, inside of the AI Insiders. That's the best place to get full support. We don't really offer too much extra support outside of that community. So make sure you're inside there in order to continue learning about how to build these really great products and to get that customer support and be around like-minded individuals. So I hope to see you inside there and hope you enjoy this template. Take care.